Hey everyone, today we are solving Shibboleth from HackTheBox, a medium-rated Linux machine. So I've ran my TCP port scan using rustscan, very normal arguments, just asking for the default scripts, enumerate versions, and output it to a file. See here we have port 80 open for a web server. In addition to this, we have ran nmap2 using the SU flag, which basically means a UDP scan. And basically you have TCP ports and UDP ports, and sometimes they vary. In this case, we have a service running on 623 on UDP. We'll investigate that later. As we have a web server open, we'll go ahead and run some web enumeration tooling. So we have dirbuster here, or gobuster. This will effectively just enumerate what directories are open on the machine. Then we'll run whatweb to enumerate what is on the box, like what version of Apache or whatever it's running, and just see from there. You can see here it's running Apache 2.4.41. Often I will Google the version numbers of this kind of thing, but in this case I'm not going to waste my time doing that. Really nothing else to look at other than here. Let's go ahead and look at the web application directly. I've added this to my host file in etc hosts, just so that's why it resolves. Very normal page, nothing too interesting. I have Burp Suite listening. I go ahead and enable it via here, and basically what that will do is it will just fill out a target history, as you can see here, just basically anything I click, that kind of thing. Okay, cool. So, go from here, where do we go? So, I didn't find much from my gobuster, as you can see here, really just very generic stuff, but one thing we forgot to look at was subdomains. So here I have workflows here, basically just as a subdomain enumeration. Now, if I go ahead and run this normally, we're going to get a bunch of output here, because basically everything gives us a 302. And the 302 basically means it's redirecting us to the main page. Okay, so how do we get around that? Well, we see here we have a 26W, basically meaning like the response is 26 long. So we want to go ahead and basically remove that by simply adding in this HW here to basically say we don't want this response. Go ahead and enter, and this will basically just stop us getting any of the output, so we can see what actually comes back. Give this a few seconds. We should get a subdomain that's come back. Here we have monitor. So I've already added monitor to my etc host. If we go over here and go cat at CVE hosts, you can see here right at the bottom we have monitor and Shibboleth. Cool. So let's move on. So let's go ahead and check out monitor. If I spell that right, monitor. Cool. Go ahead and hit enter. Sweet. Often when you're given a page that looks like a pre-made service, for example, a third-party service, you will often try and find the version of the service. In my case, I simply go to the view source, and we can see here there's not a whole lot really going on. But however, if I go for Control F for href, we can see here there's a few hrefs. Now, commonly when you're looking for versions, that often referred to like documentation or anything like that. So simply just a quick look at the hrefs. And we'll just basically iterate through these. We have a href right at the end of this line here. We have href zabbix.com/documentation 5.0. Okay, cool, let's go to it. We'll remove the view source since it's opened it in that context. Cool. So here we're on Zabbix 5.0. So this is a valid version of Zabbix. Let's go ahead and try looking for this online. We'll go Zabbix. So I want this one here. Remove the word documentation, and we'll add in the word exploit. Cool. So we have a few things here. We have Zabbix 5.x, meaning basically most versions of 5. SQL injection / cross-site scripting. Let's go ahead and view it. Okay, cool. A little bit hard to read, but it's okay. I'm going to go ahead and use this top reader view just to make it a little bit easier. Cool, so vulnerability description. Try and center this here. So we have blind SQL injection. Okay, cool. So seeing here that the path is domain, Zabbix, host, inventor, something. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and grab this. We can close this down, and we can close this down too. Cool. Let's go ahead and append this onto the end. We got not found. Well, in this case, the reason we got that is because the root of the Zabbix server is actually here at /. So actually we need to remove the word Zabbix. Hit enter, and we get a you are not logged in. Basically, we need to authenticate. So let's go ahead back over to here, and we can see here we have a bypass login. The way I read this when I did the box a little while ago was basically it's not properly implementing access control, meaning we can access, say, this part of the application without actually having to log in. So it's not a authentication bypass, it's more of a case of you can access privileged pages without being authenticated. That was my understanding, though I may be incorrect. Go ahead and hit enter, and we're getting another you are not logged in. Okay, so that doesn't seem to really want to work. We'll look at the next one, still cross-site scripting. Okay, we need to try and get to this page, screen import, probably not going to work since we need to log in, but we'll try it anyway. Okay, cool, same result. So when I did this box, I just had a poke around, just basically checked that, all these vulnerabilities were legit and I wasn't just missing them or messing something up. I didn't get any luck from this, but I noticed that previously in our recon, we have a port 623 asf-rmcp open. No idea what this is, but a simple Google, as you should always do, because Google is your friend, will give you information. So in my case, go ahead and give it a Google. We have an IMPI, and we have a HackTheBox page. Now, I swear by HackTheBox, the person who created this, Carlos Polyp, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, he has a great series of a number of different services, vulnerabilities, enumeration, that kind of thing. So the easiest way, in my opinion, to find out what we're dealing with is basically just to find out what version it's running. So I'm going to go ahead and use this one. So this is a Metasploit module. If I can copy it correctly, that would be great. MSF console. And then we'll let that boot up. Go ahead and just move this out of the way. Cool. Give this a second to boot up. My Little Pony, love it. Cool. Now we go to paste in our thing here, use auxiliary scanner, cool. And then show options. So set R hosts, set R host 10, nope, Shibboleth.html. Hit run. Cool. So it's telling us here it's running IPMI-2. If we now scroll down here, we see that there is an IPMI-2 authentication remote password hash retrieval. We'll go ahead and grab this now. Yeah, that finished. Go ahead and hit paste. Go ahead and just hit go up here. I'm going to go and put a G before here. Set G, basically making it global. Go ahead and hit run. Cool. And now we have an administrator password. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save this to a file. Oh no, hash, drop it in here. Now, I don't know this hash type, but unfortunately for us, we can go ahead and use hashcat to do the work for us. A hashcat, hashcat, example, and grep for IPMI. Now, luckily, there is an IPMI-2, which is exactly what we're looking for. In addition to that, we can also see that it gives us a SHA-1 hash, so we kind of know roughly what we're after. Sweet. I also tried this anonymous login, but that didn't give me anything, so I thought I'd try and crack the password directly. Okay, cool. So hashcat, we want to go ahead and basically find out what version, what mode this needs to be. So I simply add the -a-b, which basically just gives us five lines before, 5 lines after, just to find out what it is. Because here it's mode 73,000. Go hashcat -m for 73, the hash, and then the word list. I'll go ahead and move this out of the way. Hit enter. That will run. Give it a second. Cool, that's cracked. And the password is I love pumpkin pie. Sweet. I'm going to go ahead and save this in here. Go over to here. Go ahead and store the password. There we go, cool. And then the user account is administrator, which is in here, I believe. So we have administrator, copy that, and pass it into here. Sweet. So that should now work. Go ahead and hit sign in. And sweet, we're logged into Zabbix. So now we have admin on Zabbix, which means basically we have extended access that we didn't previously have. Often with services, processes, whatever, you're going to get additional access, additional functionality, the more privileges you have, and therefore your ability and the attack surface increases, meaning now I have admin, I have the possibility of getting, say, RCE or file upload, file download, source code review, whatever. It could be anything of that in that regard. Just additional access to do more damage. Okay, so now we have access to Zabbix. Like I say, often you'll have more access to do more things. So I simply just Googled, Zabbix, run a command. In my case, I was just curious and looked around what Zabbix can do. Turns out there's the ability to set up like command running. Here there's an iStack overflow page that talks about setting up basically an ability to create an item and then do a system run command, and you can say do like a command and some script. So I spent a little while trying to figure out where the hell the functionality within Zabbix is located. And honestly, that's half the battle when it comes to some testing, the blindness of knowing where actual functionality is. But basically the way I approached it was I just kind of thought logically, where would the functionality be located? So for example, I very much doubt that it's going to be in, say, reports. There's more likely chances it's going to be in something, you know, like say user settings or monitoring or, you know, problems. Basically things that would, you know, imply that it's going to have some functionality. So in my case anyway, I went to hosts, just had a click around really, and just tried to figure out really where it might be. It was kind of hidden in here. There may be a way to get to it, but this is how I did it. I just had to poke around. Just basically went to inventory and saw that I'd unlocked some additional functionality. Not inventory, my bad. I think I went to configuration. There we go. Yeah, cool. And I found here we have items. Now, if you look here, we have create a new item. So I was looking for the word item, and I found it, which was, I want to close this just so it's a bit easier, and this one too. And I found here that we have an ability for items. Now I saw here a create item. I was just trying to figure out as to like where to put it. So it says here as the key string. So basically we create a command. So for example, in my case, RCE. Then we put the key in here. So not that, something like this. So this looks like a bash command, like put systemctls bash. So it means we can literally run like a bash command rather than say a Zabbix specific command set, like, I don't know, Zabbix load or whatever. So in my case, I simply just tried a reverse shell. Very simply just exit out of here, do shells 1338, enter, and just grabbed this one since it's fairly reliable. Cool. And dropped it in there. Cool. So that looks okay to me. Let's go ahead and hit test. Okay, get value and test. Taking a second timeout while executing a shell script. Okay, why did that work? Well, actually, looks like we got a connection that came through. Let's go ahead and run it again. Then go ahead and just copy it like so. Just check that we did it right. Cancel. Yep, okay. Delete. Hit save. Cool. Go to test. Get value and test. And there we go. We got a connection. Sweet. Although it is dying. Interesting. So a little bit more investigation. I realized that there's a second parameter called no-wait. And when I added this parameter, it then fixed it. I guess basically what it does is it will run it and then it will keep it alive. Simply just added in the no-wait here, like so. This is what worked for me. Honestly, when it comes to testing, it's just a case of just messing around with stuff and seeing, you know, what works. We add in the no-wait there. Go ahead and hit test. Go ahead and check that we're listening. We are not. Go ahead and hit enter. Go ahead and hit get value. And boom, now we have a shell. And that fixed it. I'm not quite sure why that worked, but basically the no-wait, I guess, tells it to do something, and that works. I just tried to mess around with it until it worked. So here we go. Cool, so now we have access to the Zabbix user. Sweet. So now I want to go ahead and escalate my access. So I'm in a quite basic shell here. I'm going to go ahead and type in shells. Again, script I made. Just going to go ahead and basically pass this to it just to give us a slightly better shell. Cool, that looks good to me. All right, so let's go ahead and see what's on the machine. So cat at c password. Cool, quite a lot here. Let's go ahead and look at the ls home, and we have an IPM-SVC. Interesting. Can we go ahead into the /home IPM-SVC? IP, nope, doesn't appear that we can. cd to IPMI-SVC. Okay, yeah, lets us in. Can we cat the user.txt? No, we can't. Cool. So we have a user IPM-SVC. And if we go ahead and say do cat password, we can see there's an actual user there. We have IPMI-SVC, and it has a home and it has a bin bash shell. So it's important to think about what we already have. So we logged in, we used the Metasploit module we used before to exploit IPMI, and then that gave us these credentials here. We have administrator and I love pumpkin pie. So I thought, okay, maybe this will work too. So let's go ahead and try, say, Sue, IPMI-SVC. Password. Don't know if that worked. Oh, I didn't copy the password clearly, my bad. And I'm also blind. Let's go ahead and try it again. Cool, and now we are IPMI-SVC. All right, cool. So I want to go ahead now and do some privilege escalation enumeration. So I'll go ahead and just minimize this so we can see. I'm going to go to cd into my privilege escalation directory. I want to go lc web, which basically just prints out the curl, the path to the thing, and then prints out here. Go ahead and grab these, cd into /temp. Go ahead and hit paste, and that will then go ahead and download them and also run them. When I do ls, we can now see we have these linenum files and the linpeas file. While they run, I'm going to just do some very, very basic enumeration of what's on the machine. I'm going to go ahead and first just do a find /name, not name, perm, for files, and just look at basically the Seward binaries, and then use this last bit here to pipe all the errors to dev null, just make it a little bit cleaner. This just gives me a little bit of enumeration I can be doing while it's running. I can do the enumeration myself, but I think we'll just let the scripts do their work, and then we'll come back to it soon. Nothing super obvious here that's bad, really just very generic stuff. Okay, so we're going to have a look for like groups. Yeah, I'm part of the IPMI group here. Cool. Yep, this one here. Fine, nothing too crazy there. I want to go ahead and do find / I think it's -group, and then IPMI-SVC, and then pipe to here. This will basically just look for all files which has my group attached to it. We have a few here. Sys. A lot of these sys files, prot files, they're not that helpful. They're just generic stuff that gets added by the Linux machine we're on. Okay, lots of stuff here. Let's go ahead and just grep out the proc. Just make it cleaner. Cool, looks okay to me. And obviously we have sys as well, but I don't really care about it for now. Cool. Fine. So we have the linpeas files. Home IPMC, cache, Guinea, PTV, VMRC, user TXT, MySQL history. Interesting. So I'm going to go ahead and look at this now. And also, actually, I saw a Zabbix thing as well there. We have a Zabbix server config dpkg distribution. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and look at that as well in a sec. Let's go ahead and first of all cat this though. Looks to be empty, potentially. I think so. Okay, looks to be empty. That's fine. So we'll go ahead over to the other file we found previously, which points at a Zabbix file. Cool. So we'll go ahead and grab this. Now, the reason I look for files that my user owns is because often if I can read the file or I own the file, it might be the escalation to the next user. There's not much point looking at what files root can read, because root can read everything, and there isn't enough current user, so it's important to kind of like to see what you can touch, see what you can leverage. In this case, it has told me that I can read this Zabbix file, and we'll go ahead and read that. Okay, so it's quite a big file here. I'm going to go ahead and just do some grep for say pass. So grep pass. I'm going to add -I to make it case insensitive. We have option db password, database password. Okay, cool. We have the db password. Okay, let's go ahead and try now. Change this pass to db because we have db password. Maybe there's a db user. Like so. We have a db user Zabbix and a db password, blue or sky blur, whatever that says. Go ahead and add it in here. Fine. Let's go ahead and now try and log into MySQL, because we know why MySQL is running, because if we go to where we were before, cd/home, cd into our IPMI user, SVC. We have a, I didn't change that. I could probably just do cd home actually, there we go. That works too. Fine, go ahead to cat, not cat, ls-la. And we have a MySQL history. And also if we do netstat-tnulp, I reckon there'll be a 3306 open. And indeed there is. Cool. So that tells us MySQL is running. We could also say cat/temp linpeas and then grep for say MySQL. I reckon it will tell us just what we're after, if it has even found that yet. Okay, it doesn't appear to have found the MySQL string yet. Linpeas will often do basically reviews of MySQL bits and pieces, and obviously it hasn't found that yet because I guess it's still running. Kind of maybe broke something there. I don't know. Looks okay. Fine. So I guess it's just running still. I'll leave it at that. Okay, so let's go ahead and try and log into MySQL. So MySQL user Zabbix, and then the password is blue or sky or something like that. Like that. And then database is Zabbix also. And then host is 127.0.0.1. Cool. That should then work. Potentially. Show databases. Clearly this reverse shell is being a little bit glitchy. I want to go ahead and just exit out of it, and we'll go ahead and start a fresh shell. Go ahead and run this again. Like so, get value. And now we have another shell. We'll go ahead and take this here. Escalate to here. SU to IPMI-SVC. Asking for the password. We'll go ahead and give it the password via the pumpkin pie. Go ahead and hit this paste. I'm logged in as its user. Cool. MySQL. That might even be INR saved. MySQL. Okay, cool. Now we're in MySQL. The shell was a little bit glitchy. It's one of those things. Cool. So now we're here. So we can do show databases. And that now works. Cool. So let's go to, I think it's select version. Like so. My bad, I missed the function call. Cool, we have MariaDB, Ubuntu, something, something. Cool. Go ahead and I'll give that Google. It's trying to do that as an actual URL. Cool. Exploit. Okay. Seems to be a few things here. Interesting. That didn't seem to give us anything. So I'm going to go ahead now and look and try and find the a different way of finding the version string. Now, when I did this box, I saw the version, didn't see anything super obvious about the vulnerabilities, and kind of just left it there. So I exited out of here, and I just looked for, basically just exit again. I just simply looked for basically looking at the linpeas I was looking at before. So I simply just looked for MySQL in linpeas. So in my case, I just looked for linpeas, looked through the contents, and I found a reference to the MySQL string that it's running, but just a different string, which then gave me what I was looking for. So very minor changes, actually basically the same thing. Just basically, by removing all this Ubuntu stuff at the end, it gave me what I was actually after. Go ahead and hit enter. Add an exploit. And we find an exploit here. So this wasn't super helpful, but if we go ahead and remove all the Ubuntu stuff at the end, and we make it say like this, we actually find here there's a CVE 2021. Go ahead and look at it. And it talks about basically this version of MariaDB has an escalation vulnerability. Basically meaning that we can get RC on the box, and as MySQL is running as root, we can then escalate hopefully to root. So it wants us to basically generate an asf-rmcp payload. We'll go ahead and do that now. Go ahead and just paste that in here, close this out here. Cool. So it wants us to change the port. I'm going to do 1339. Like so. Change the IP to be our current IP 10.10.14.4. Go ahead and open the terminal. Turn 0 just to check, yeah, 10.10.14.4 looks good to me. Fine. If I could type exit, that would be great. Cool, so that's working now. I actually put it in the wrong place, so I want to make it to be CVE to be home, Kali, boxes, I think it's boxes, HackTheBox. Boxes, not that one. And then it's called Shibboleth. Cool, that should be fine. And then we'll move in there as well. Cool. So it should all be in there. Cool, so that's now working. That's now in the directory. And we have this running here. I'm going to go ahead to box. Let me go ahead and run the same command here. Remove the C off there, so it just basically hosts it. We'll grab this. The reason we're grabbing that is because the next stage in the payload wants us to set up a reverse shell and then also host it on the remote machine. So we'll go ahead and do that. So we'll exit out of here. We'll go ahead into cd into temp if we're not already in there. Fine, go ahead and hit this. That's now downloaded that. We want to go now ahead and open up a reverse shell. I'll do it here, shells 1339, like so. Now the shell is waiting. Let's go ahead and use the next bits. So in this case, it's just looking at what's in there, but actually we can bypass this whole bit by simply just running this, I believe, as I did previously. Go ahead and run this now. Wrong one, I meant to open up MySQL first. Go ahead and run this now. And we have a connection from our remote machine, and we are root. Sweet. So simply by following the CVE, we have got root, and life is good. Where we have, of course, then go to cat root, root.txt, and boom, we have the root.txt. So hopefully that made sense. Hopefully you learned something. If you did, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next one. Take care, everyone. Thanks. Bye.